This NASCAR 2025 win totals edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rebet, a new sports book available in 45 states. Download Rebet in your app store and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHM.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, and we are done with our snowball talks, so no more snowballs, no more derbies. However, again, if you haven't already listened, go back and yesterday listen to the Snowball Derby edition of it because there's some drivers that we recognize, and, Cody, it's racing in December, so can't go wrong on that one. But today, we turn our
did, but before we get away from I did see Derek Thorne, who we talked about yesterday at 7-1, fastest in practice today at the Snowball Derby. So we might not be late model / snowball experts, Rod, but we're on the right track so far, at least.
I'd like to have everybody pat us on the back. No, I'm just kidding. No, listen, there you go. Pat each other on the back. But no, you're right. I mean, we may not be late model experts, but there is one thing that we have learned over the course of our, especially 3 seasons here, is how to handicap racing and betting and how to look at and analyze the stats, which is why we are in our 3rd season, 3rd, 4th. I don't know. We're 550 episodes now, Cody. That's a lot of episodes that we've done.
That's a lot of fucking episodes, Rob.
That's 550 days that we've seen each other. That's over that's over what, a year and a half of actual contact here, and then the amount of hours that we've spent together, it's insane. I sometimes think to myself,
never been in the same room together.
No, same virtual room, but never the same
True.
room.
We spent a lot of time in the same virtual room together.
Yes, we have. All right, so today we talk about win totals. We are going to go over the offerings for the season-long win totals for the drivers that are being offered to us on various books. And look, here's the thing. We did this last season, right? We hit quite a few of them, and we got pretty excited. I hit my Daniel Suarez one, which made me very, very happy because I was talked very meanly to when I made
who, Rod? Who did that?
The only other guy in the virtual room that was doing it. But no, I enjoy these because it's an opportunity for us to kind of go down and talk about all these drivers as it pertains to what we think they're going to do next season. I mean, obviously we did in the championship odds, but sometimes there's drivers that we don't talk about in the championship conversation that we could talk about winning, especially the cover guy, right? Carson Hocevar. We're not going to talk about him in the championship standings, but we are definitely going to try to take a chance on how many wins he ends up getting in the season and what his number set at. So I always love this part of the year in the off season because there is betting content to talk about and we get to go through all these drivers.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. And, I think I sort of mentioned it yesterday on the Snowball episode, but it gives us an opportunity, guys like Carson Hocevar, guys like Daniel Suarez last year. Some of those guys, realistically, they don't have a shot at the title, right, Rod? So we're going to sort of pass their name as we talk to the championship odds, but they're not really in play. But now you put this out there, and is Carson Hocevar going to win a race? Well, obviously you're going to just be like, well, no, he's not going to win a race, right? But then when you look at the odds and how the odds are set, well, it doesn't really make sense to bet no, right? So is it good enough to bet yes? And that's sort of the question. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Where could he win at? How could he win? Whatever the case may be. But then obviously, Kyle Larson's and your Christopher Bell's and your Chase Elliott's and Joey Logano's and Ryan Blaney's, all these guys have their win totals set as well. And everybody's is a little different. Everybody's is priced a little bit differently. So it's fun to walk through it and talk through it. And again, sort of start to pick our sides, right? For how do we see these guys' seasons playing out in 2025? What direction do we think they're going to go? They won 3 races this year. Can they win 4 next year? Or is it going to be 3 or maybe only 2 this year, right? And to talk through it all is definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah, and again, this is where we start to begin the research mode of 2025 and where our bets and basically race to race too will actually land. So going to have some fun doing that. But in the meantime, if you have not already and your phone has plenty of space on it, go download that SGPN app. It's completely free, and you have easy access to all of our shows, not just this one, but all of the shows. Maybe you like old-fashioned fantasy football. Maybe you like some main show. Whatever it is that you're not getting, download the app. You can get it. Plus, all our picks pages are there for free. They can make it a little easier for me to say it, right? Picks pages are all there for free. So go download that wherever you get your apps. And so today, like we said, Cody, we'll be talking about some win totals and getting set for the season. But in the meantime, is there any news that we need to get to? I know we've got a couple more stories that we haven't gotten to so far this year.
Yeah, I should have probably come into the show slightly more prepared, Rod. So we're going to put it on myself. But I was digging back through, I think really, to be honest, we might be sort of caught up at this point as far as like the big news stories, right? I think we've sort of talked about all the driver changes as far as like anything that's been announced. We're going to have podcasts as we continue through the off season as far as, breaking down, okay, this driver's going here. What do we think about that? Kind of there was some news today, Colleague Racing. Andrew Dickinson comes from RCR to Colleague in an engineer role to crew chief, or from an RCR engineer role to crew chief for the number 10 Cup car for Ty Dillon. That's going to be so weird to get used to, Ty Dillon being in the 10 car. And then Trent Owens is going to take over for AJ Allmendinger. Sort of some minor changes there. But other than that, kind of been a little bit slower. Toyota, I did see yesterday, Rod, they're going to be leaving NHRA after the 2025 season. That's sort of an interesting thing. I don't think that they're planning on leaving NASCAR. I don't think we really have much to worry about there. They've obviously made a lot of changes, right? David Wilson is retiring. He's on his way out. They're changing. It's not even be called Toyota Racing anymore. It's Toyota something or other now is going to be the name. But so obviously making some changes that always makes you a little bit nervous. But I don't foresee Toyota leaving. But that's just motorsports world news, which is as we've talked about before, they're also moving into F1. So maybe just reallocating some resources there. But otherwise, I think we're fairly caught up in the news world as things have slowed down a little bit here as we got through Thanksgiving and news sort of has crawled to a halt, at least for now, until the next big break in the lawsuit case, Rob.
Oh my God, that's going to be like breaking. We may have to do a special episode on that one just in case that happens. But and Tony Stewart's staying put too. He's going to be doing the NHRA still next year, so he's not going anywhere. But all right, well then, I guess all that's left for us to do is start breaking down some of these win totals. What say you, Cody?
Oh, we have to talk about betting on NASCAR. Well, I guess if we must, Rod, let's do it.
Fine. Twist my arm. All right, well then let's just start at the top. Caesars is giving us the first name on the books, and we might as well just break it open.
Just to set it up too, as far as what I could see, I sort of went through all the books last night. I combed through everything. Right now, Caesars has got win totals, and my bookie, Rod, promo code SGPN, has win totals as well. So, I actually took the time to be sort of prepared for this episode and write down all of them combined as far as who's got what on different books. Now, interestingly enough, all of the actual numbers are the same, right? 1.5 races, half a race or whatever. except for one driver. I don't know if you've seen that yet. One driver has a different number, which is going to be interesting to get to when we get to it. But you get some very differing prices on some of these. Like sometimes the over is a little more juiced, sometimes the under is a little more juiced, one side or the other. So depending on which side you like, be able to go to either book and take it, which I think is a great option. So we can kind of cover the totals on both books as we go through.
I mean, it's always good to price shop. We've told you that time and time again, which is why we don't tend to just give you the pick and not give you the best price that we can find out there on it. And as we know, lines will definitely shift over the course of the season. So, even the course of the rest of this year. So keep your eye open. And if you hear something that you like now, and we'll obviously talk about it. We do that a lot. I mean, again, if this is your first time listening to the show, I always just assume that it's you guys have been listening forever. But if this is your first time listening and stumble upon it, we do go through all of the different values for you, and we try to find the best prices for you, the better. And again, as we know, if you like something early, we tell you to jump on it. Or if you tell you that you can wait, hang tight. This line will probably get more in your favor later down the year or even later down the month. Then hang out for that too. So we always try to give you the most information that we can and the most accurate and most up-to-date information as possible. But do know that lines change, as you very well know as a bettor. And, we're here to try to give you what we can when we can give it to you. So, all right. And yes, Cody, I did see that you were opening up the doc thinking that it was another one of our normal docs. And I was like, how are we going to go about doing this? I thought we were just going down the line, but
I wouldn't say I had extra time because I feel like I don't ever have extra time. But yesterday I was like, you know what? I went to do this. Let's go.
Bingo. Good stuff. All right. Let's check in the chat. Freddie Banish is saying, do you agree with me that Ryan Preece will win a cup race next year?
It's an interesting one. Well, we won't because he's not listed, Rod. So we're going to kick it off with Freddie's question. Do you think that Ryan, if he had a total, right, it would be set at a half a win, and it would be, minus 200 to the no, because that's the more obvious side, and you'd get a good plus value on the over side of half a win. Rod, do you think that Ryan Preece, again, if you don't remember, is going to be in the third car for RFK Racing? Roush Fenway Keselowski over there. We've obviously seen Chris Buescher win a bunch over the last couple of seasons. Brad Keselowski won last season. Ryan Preece has yet to get I don't believe he has a Cup Series win, Rod. I don't think he does.
Not yet.
In his career, could he get his first win this season?
So given the fact that Brad K and Chris Buescher have won races in the past, the equipment can win races. It comes down now to, do we think really honest? And Cody, this is the difference between a Ryan Preece question now and a Ryan Preece question even last year, right? We know that this equipment is good enough to win races. He was in equipment that was good enough to win races last year. He didn't do it. So do we think that Brad, or do we think RFK is better? I know, but SHR
yes and no. Yes and no. Like SHR won with Chase Briscoe at Darlington, okay. But outside of that, was it really winning equipment? I mean, they were in a lame duck year, about to close. You could look back to 2 years ago. Even a Harvick didn't win. Like maybe the writing was already starting to be on the wall. Maybe Preece never really got a fair shake, so we didn't get to see it. With the argument to be had for any driver, and we'll get into this later on some of these guys that are set at a half win, is anybody can win at the 6 super speedways, right? So you have to factor in that could be the one. Daniel Suarez, thank you very much, Rod, because he wasn't going to win if it wasn't Atlanta, but he did, so you cash your ticket. I get it, right? You were right. I was wrong, at least this time, for that reason. But outside of super speedways, can he win anywhere else? Like a Martinsville type of race, I could see the situation being right. Did he actually win though? I don't
think this season. I think maybe it would take another full season of him being in this equipment to win outright. I'll put it in perspective this way. He's got 4 top 5 finishes in his 7-year career, 16 top 10s. Yeah. So like
JTG though, in the second car for most of the beginning of those years, and then lame duck SHR. So that's the thing, is we haven't actually seen him in a really good opportunity that's growing, that's going forward. So this is his chance, right? This is his chance to sort of shine. And if you've listened so far through the offseason, I am very bullish on RFK. I think that they're going to have a strong season. And I think we're going to get some really good opportunities to bet on Preece as far as top 10s, maybe some top 5s, short flats come to mind most, right? But we've seen how good RFK has been on the super speedways as well. So I think it would take a super speedway win, probably. So I'm going to say no, but probably not one that I would bet on if we had the option, because neither side would likely be that attractive.
I will say exactly that. Whatever the odds set at his win total would be, it would not be as much as you could make on a top 10 bet at Daytona, a top 5 bet at a short track. Like, you would make more money betting on him on a week-to-week basis on a top 10 bet than you would sinking any sort of money into a win future and have it just kind of go up in flames. So,
but good conversation. So thanks, Freddie. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you.
But that's what we're here for, right? That's the conversation to be had, right? So gotta love it. All right, we'll start digging into the list, but we'll do that after I tell you all about Underdog Fantasy. Excited to tell you about Underdog Fantasy because Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all of sports. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money with Underdog Streaks. Underdog is always making it easier to win with profits and boosts and gimme pick'ems. There's NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and more. You can also use your specials and boosts on all flex entries. Going to be using mine, ladies and gentlemen, on a Jalen Reed higher than a half of a first touchdown for this game. Look, you can go Montgomery, you can go Gibbs if you want, but I think that the Green Bay Packers are going to come out and strike first because they've done it in 10 games already this season. Unbelievable amount of times. So give me Jalen Reed higher than a half of a first touchdown over there on Underdog. Sign up with the promo code RACESGPN. In the meantime, to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. We're brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is a new social sports book available in 45 states. Plenty of betting opportunities are available on Rebet. It's easy to use. They're great for people in states where traditional sports books may be restricted. You can download Rebet now in the App Store. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. That's Rebet, promo code SGPN. Well,
Speaking of underdog picks, Rob.
Yes.
Go check out our socials at, I think it's only on mine currently, but at Husker_Zeeb over on the X, or check out the NASCAR Gambling Podcast Facebook page. Underdog on top of their game this week. They got finishing position projections up for the F1 race in Abu Dhabi this weekend. So shared a couple of my favorites, put together a nice little lineup there that I feel pretty confident in. 4 guys that I'm either on or not on, Rod. I've got both sides of the coin, some better thans, some worse thans. So go check that out. And of course, use that promo code RACESGPN when you sign up.
Yep. Practice actually for that begins overnight. So while you're asleep, they'll be driving in Abu Dhabi. So that'll be fun to wake up to and watch the next day. So, all right, Cody, let us dig into the list that Caesars and MyBookie are giving us. And we'll start at the top of the list for Caesars, and that is Tyler Reddick. He is set at 3.5 wins. The under for this one is at -142 on MyBookie, 140 at Caesars. The over +111 on MyBookie, +110 at Caesars. I'll dig in by saying that Tyler Reddick has only won 3 races in a season. He has never surpassed this total. He's got 2 3-win seasons and a 2-win season in there. So I know that you have given him the 2025 through 2029 championships. Can he win 4 races finally?
Yeah. I think that this number being set here, pretty respectful, right? I think that setting it at 3.5 when he's only ever won 3 is good. I would say they're sort of pricing you out of the under at -140. It's a tall order to pay that for a future, giving you little +110, +111 over there on MyBookie for the over. How confident are we in Tyler Reddick this season? Of course, he won the regular season title last year, won the 3 races, as you mentioned. And I have proclaimed for quite some time that he is one of the next coming, right? He's one of those guys. So do we continue to see that go? Now, you also have the dark cloud over here, Rod, of the lawsuit hanging over everything, but he's going to, and rules on this, I do believe, stipulate, we'll have to check with MyBookie, but I believe Caesars is, you have to start all 36 points paying races. So that would cancel the ticket if something were to happen for any of that stuff, which I don't foresee happening. And one other clarification too, it is for points races only. So The Clash doesn't count. The duels don't count. The All-Star race doesn't count, just to clarify all that from the top. Can Tyler Reddick win 4 races, Rod? That is the big question. And you know me, I'm a big Tyler Reddick guy. So, of course, I'm going to take over on 3.5 wins. I do think he can get to 4 this year. And I don't think that's a crazy thing to ask. Of course, he got 3 already. We saw a couple opportunities maybe slip through their hands. They already cleaned up a lot of stuff. That was the big thing last year, right? Was he can accomplish all this. He can do all this. They just got to clean up the mistakes. And they really cleaned up a lot of the mistakes from 2023 into 2024. I think as they continue to progress, again, this is still a very young team. It's only been around for a couple of seasons. They've only had multiple cars for a couple of seasons. They're going to expand to a 3rd car, which I think is going to be helpful for them as well, as we see the bigger teams tend to do better, right? So I think that Tyler Reddick can squeak one more out and get to 4 wins this season.
So I like it because, again, this is not set. I mean, if it's not set at 4.5, right? I mean, it's still set at a reasonable number that he could probably get to. And you got to look back at a couple of opportunities, like you said, that kind of slipped away. He led 174 laps at Darlington after starting on the pole. Ended up, finishing 32nd in that race because of a mistake. Finished 2nd in Las Vegas. So an opportunity to finish within the top 2 there. 2nd in Chicago. Started on the pole in Indy. Finished 2nd in Indy. Just a lot of close calls for Tyler Reddick over the course of the season that could have easily turned into that 4th win had something gone his way. So you look at where he won, right? He won at Talladega Super Speedway. So, okay, we kind of can see that that's a fluke sometimes. Michigan, he won at Michigan, and then he won at Homestead. So where can he pick up that 4th win? Where can he win another track at the same track that he won at this year? So there's a lot to be said about this, but I do feel good about possibly taking the over.
The Michigan part of things, right? That Kansas, Las Vegas, that's 4 more potential races that you could translate to. We've seen him be good at those tracks before. Homestead, of course, on the schedule earlier this coming season, but he's been really good there. There's plenty of places. It was a bit on the short tracks, but he's really good on road courses. He didn't win any road courses this past season, but he's been the best driver probably in the next gen era. Could easily pick up more road course wins there. Again, a lot of opportunities out there. We just had the conversation about Preece, sort of pigeonholed. There's only really a few places where he can win. For Reddick, it's a good chunk of the races. Short tracks is still the struggle. They need to figure that part of things out. But just about everywhere else, intermediates, road courses, super speedways, he can win on all of them.
Yeah, and so I think if you're going to sink anything into this future, the over is the way to go because, like you said, you're kind of priced out of the under. It's tough to lay that much juice and have it sit there all season long. Again, you can win more money by just betting on an outright or whatever it is. But if you're somebody that loves to play the futures, which is why we're here, definitely putting something on that. Like you, I know you got a ton.
And you get to sweat these throughout the season. It's a lot of fun. Like, obviously, the money's going to sit there till November. So you got to deal with that. But, again, to be responsible with your stuff. But it is nice to have those sweats and look back and be like, oh, shit, he wins 5 races early in the season. And you're like, oh, damn, he killed this, right? He crushed it. Or he's got 3 wins going into, the last 3 races of the season. And you're like, oh, we just need one more, buddy. Come on, get it for us. And then he wins at Talladega. And you're like, oh, boom. Easy peasy, right? And he cashed it for you.
I mean, consider it an investment to yourself, right? A little present to yourself in November, so that way you can start buying some Christmas presents with that money. Speaking of buying Christmas presents, this next guy can very much be the reason that you can fund college for your kid, and that's Kyle Larson. You talk about his win total. Set at 5.5, Cody. We've seen the man do it time and time again. We've seen him do it this last season. We saw him do it in 2021. However, those are the only 2 years that he's done it in his career, first and foremost, and second of all, within the last 4 years. So is a 6-win season again in Kyle Larson's future. The over here set at -111 on my bookie, -110 on Caesars. The under at -124 on my bookie and 120 on Caesars. It's a tall task to win 6 races again. But if anybody can do it, it's the best driver in the world, right?
Not a tall task for the best driver in the world. This is an easy over for me. Look, it's Kyle Larson. He gives you a shot each and every single week, maybe even at the super speedways, Rod. Who knows? before he wrecks out, that is. But no, he's really good. We know how much he can win, and how many times again was he, much like Tyler Reddick, close and just didn't get it quite done. 2 times in the last 4 years. He's only been with Hendrick a few of those seasons. So, being in that car, we're also getting into another season of the next gen car. We're going to continue to see that separation at the top, right? These big teams and these really good drivers are getting more used to this equipment, more used to these things, finding more advantages. That's going to keep continuing to go in a guy like Kyle Larson's way. Again, he can win at short tracks. He can win at intermediates. He can win at road courses. He can win in IndyCar. He could probably win in F1. He can win anywhere and everywhere, Rod. And I think that it will not be, 5.5 is a big number when you look at it, and it's easily the biggest one on the board because it's Kyle Larson, but it's Kyle Larson. So I would take the over on this, and there's no hesitation from me at all. No, is he going to get it done this year? He's the greatest race car driver in the world. He's in a great car. He's just good. And I think you don't overthink it and you just take the over. And you could hit this very early in the season, Rod. It wouldn't be that surprising. I mean, we're only a couple of seasons removed from 10 wins plus the All-Star race, the championship. If he gets hot, again, the greatest race car driver in the world currently. So, yeah, you do not take the under on this.
In 35 starts this last season, not counting the one that he missed, 35 starts.
The Coke 375.5 or whatever it was.
Which should count as it should just not even count anymore. They should take it out of everybody's stats at this point. But 15,
he will not miss that race this year, Rod, because he ain't getting a waiver if he does. So he will be there for the start of the race this season.
He will. 42.9% of the time, Kyle Larson finished inside of the top 5. Now, most cases, you'd be happy with a top 10 number of 42.9%, but Kyle Larson finishing in the top 5 15 times out of 35 tries. I mean, that just says to you exactly how dominant he was. 1,700 laps led this season. He won 17% of the races that, these are staggering numbers. And for Kyle Larson, I feel like 6 wins was moderate, 6 wins. You saw his tussles with Denny Hamlin that kind of kept him back off of a couple, just a couple of really dumb mistakes that kept him from being in contention for the win in some of these races, some bad calls on the pits.
Yeah, you're always going to get Kyle Larson pushes too hard and fucks up a win. Like that's never not going to happen. But you want that because when he's pushing that hard, that's what gets him all the wins that he does get. So, yeah, again, this is easily an over for me. I'm not even considering the under, and I will bet this one, no doubt about it. I might have already bet it on my book.
There may already be 1 or 2 tickets swinging out there for Cody on that one, but no, I'm with you on this one. I think it may hit quick, but I think this is one where we sweat for at least 2/3 of the season.
Oh, your brother coming in being the contrarian, Rod. I am notorious in the chat. Cody, call me contrary. Okay, contrary.
What's up, contrary?
Call me crazy. Okay, crazy. I'd take the under on Larson. 6 is a lot of wins, and despite him indeed being the best in the world, I think the competition in NASCAR is just too great. You're not wrong. The competition is great, and there's 30 other races for people to win, but it's Kyle Larson, man. He just did it last season in one of the most parity seasons we've had. We had 18, 19 winners last year, and he still got to over this total. So why is he not going to do it again? And 10-win seasons are not crazy. We see it every couple of seasons in NASCAR. We saw it from Kevin Harvick a few years ago. We saw it from Truex. We've seen it from Larson just a couple years ago as well. Again, if somebody's going to have a 10-win season this year, Rod, Kyle Larson's the top of that list, no question about it, right? And he's the guy that can get it done. I wouldn't be shocked to see something like that from Kyle. So, yeah, again, sorry, I am notorious. I will call you crazy because you don't take the under on this one.
No, and I get his argument too, because if you just, anything can happen. We've seen it time and time again, but yeah, I think you're safer taking the plus or at least the least amount of juice on this one and running with it. So, however, Nick, you could be right because, just this is a long season and a lot of things can happen. So, all right, let's get to more of these drivers. But first, let me tell you about MyBookie. We're brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie has been running on SGPN for years. You can check out their new and improved website, which, by the way, looks great on mobile. Plus props for every game and the live dealer casino. Even new early cash out options. We've been giving you all of our favorite MyBookie numbers. So make sure you're listening to the rest of this episode to get more of our favorites. You can head over to MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code SG. PN. Boy, when you're programmed to say something, you sure as hell say it, don't you? SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. You can build your own model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard, or have Rhythm build a model for you. Now you can track props in the Rhythm app as well. NFL picks, NFL props, college football, college basketball, NBA. Rhythm has it all. Trying now to actually build my model for how many yards Josh Jacobs is going to have tonight. That dude has been running wild. It's been so great over the entire career, whether it's the Raiders, whether it's the Green Bay Packers, doesn't matter. He's just been killing it. So I'm looking for Rhythm to give me which way I need to go on his rushing total props. You can do the same thing. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Chiefs fans drive me nuts, Rod. They got to work the Chiefs into anything and everything. He says from their 2-time defending Super Bowl champion, KC Chiefs, again, is the hardest thing in sports to do. Well, again has never happened when it comes to winning 3 Super Bowls in a row. The Kansas City Chiefs are no exception. They won't win their 3rd Super Bowl in a row. But winning 6 races in back-to-back seasons happens all the time, Rod. And Kyle Larson can do it just like he has before and probably will continue to do about the next 10 years in a row.
Nick loves to twist that knife because the last one came against my poor 49ers.
I feel like they got a couple against your 49ers, Rod. Ooh, brutal.
That is no. That's not happening.
Call me when you get 6, Nick, like the Patriots have.
Call me when you get 5 like the Niners. That's where
we still have one up on the Chiefs or a couple up on the Chiefs, Rod.
I'm stalling because I don't want to talk about this next guy because apparently we hate him. And that is Christopher Bell. We were told that we are not showing enough love to Christopher. What is it, man? I mean, I don't show enough love to Ty Gibbs. I start showing love to Ty Gibbs. The Christopher Bell fans get slighted. It's like, when am I
think that was just a simple maybe misconstruing or mishearing what we were saying. I don't think anybody thinks we hate Christopher Bell. No, it was a period of time, Rod, when Cardboard Gate happened that I was not a Christopher Bell fan.
You were not.
But I've clearly moved past that at this point.
You have indeed. His win total set the same as Tyler Reddick, rather. MyBookie and Caesars both giving you 3.5 wins for Christopher Bell. The over on this one on MyBookie is at -117. On Caesars, it's -135. The under, this is where the disparity is a little bit going on. Yeah. MyBookie, -117 for the under. Caesars giving you plus money for the under at +105. Christopher Bell, 2 3-win seasons for him as well, with a 2-win seasons cracked in there. Can he get a 4th?
So, just to back to the books real quick. If you want to take the over, you need to go to MyBookie. If you want to take the under, you want to go to Caesars because that's where you're getting the better money on either side of things. Rod, I'm going to pull it up quickly, but when was the last time that Joe Gibbs Racing won a race?
Won a race? Oh, that's
a race in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2024, Rod. Because
Bell won in Loudon in back there in the 18th race of the season.
Yeah, that's the answer. Yeah. June 23rd of 2024 is the last time that Joe Gibbs Racing has won a race. Now, Joe Gibbs Racing, as we know, is one of the top 2-3 teams. We got to start just putting Penske up there. So there's 3 elite teams in the series, and it's Hendrick.
We have to put Aston Martin in the conversation with the other 4. What?
Yes, it's not the big 2 anymore. It's the big 3. When you win 3 championships in a row, we're just going to vault you to the elite status. So they're up there, but concerning how they ended the season. I mean, Bell obviously slighted going into the championship 4 where he should have probably been in there. We all know that story. But other than that, I mean, getting to victory lane was not something they did the entire second half of the season. And that's with Denny Hamlin, with Martin Truex Jr., and with Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell, extremely talented, one of the best race car drivers in the series right now. I love Christopher Bell. I don't want to commit to betting the under because I don't like betting the under, but I also don't know that I like the over. So Bell might be the first one that I just don't pick a side on. Now, if I did pick a side, Rod, I think that I would. I don't know. I'm interested to see your thoughts because I can't decide which side I want to be on. I think that 4 is scary because he hasn't done it, but I think under 4, at 3 or less is also scary because how fucking good he is. We know he's dominant on these short flats. He's gonna win New Hampshire again. So just go ahead and put that in the column, right? He's gonna be good at Phoenix. He's good at road courses. He's good at intermediates. He's a scary guy to have the under on 3.5 on as well.
So I made the argument with Kyle Larson as far as how many top 5 finishes that Kyle Larson had. And when you look at Christopher Bell's statistics, it's eerily similar other than the fact that, Kyle Larson turned a few more of those into wins, whereas Christopher Bell, he had 15 top 5 finishes as well. 41% of the time he was finishing inside of the top 5. So when we talk about dominant race car drivers, he's another one of those guys, right? He finished second at Las Vegas in the fall, second on the Roval there. He started on the pole in Kansas, ended up finishing in 7th, a 3rd place in Darlington, 3rd place at Daytona, 4th place at Indy, right? I mean, these are all races that he was battling. Right, 2nd place at Austin.
I've made a decision, Rod.
You're going over, aren't you?
He had 3 wins last year, right?
Sure did.
And he didn't win a race after June 23rd. How do you not take the over on this?
Yeah.
He had 3 wins by that point in the season, and yes, they never got back, and that's sort of concerning, but this is Joe Gibbs Racing. They're going to figure it out. He's a good driver. He's got let's not forget who his crew chief is, right? It's Adam Stevens, who has worked with, he has Adam Stevens, right? I'm pretty sure he has Adam Stevens. We should probably check that. But either way, he is a really, really good race car driver, and he got to 3 that early in the season, and I know they never got back, but he definitely had his opportunities. You mentioned all the second place finishes, things that could have gone his way. So yeah, I feel like we're awarding too many wins already between these first 3 drivers, but these are probably the top 3 drivers in the series right now, right? I think that's not really going too far out on a limb between Reddick, between Larson and Bell. So between the 3 of them, are they going to win more races than their projections? I don't think that's crazy. We could save a couple of wins on some other guys later on down the road.
I think we've only given out 14 wins so far this season, so it's not that bad.
What? Still 20-some races to go? 22 more races? Yeah. Got 22 more wins to hand out, and you're already taking the top 3 guys off the board. So we got a lot of wins to hand out still.
Yeah, there's still plenty of opportunity for bets to win. Yeah, because like I said, I mean, he finished 2nd at Austin. He led 9 laps there at Coda, right? 6th place at Richmond after starting 29th. He led 9 laps in that one as well. I think if we're going to say that because Kyle Larson is one of the more dominant drivers in the sport based on the statistics that we read, we kind of have to go along with that same argument with Christopher Bell and give him 4 wins on the season. So whoever it was that was out there, we are showing love to Christopher Bell.
We just had to work through it and get rid of, I guess, maybe we do have a bias against him because I was sort of leaning towards the under, and then I realized
this is why you don't lean, Cody.
Yeah, well, this is why you don't lean, Rod, and that's why we picked a fucking side at the end of the day, because the over is the way to go.
Because I tipped your ass over. I was like, boom, this is statistics. This is what we're going. But all right, now to the cover boy of this episode, and that is Carson Hocevar. Half a win, and I picked him because he's not really a guy that tends to be on our covers, and so
everybody knows we're going to talk about Kyle Larson. Why wouldn't we, right? But you put Carson Hocevar on there because you can.
Because you can. Half a win for Carson Hocevar. My bookie's got the under at -200, the over at +160. Boy, they're not giving him any love, are they? Caesars has the under at -210 and the over at +170. So I guess the question is, Cody, does Carson Hocevar, the question of the day, does Carson Hocevar get a win?
Yeah, so here's the way to look at this, right? Is it's cool to get the options on these guys. If you're a big Carson Hocevar fan, this is your opportunity because you can bet the over at plus 170 and you're getting a good number, or you're getting positive number, I guess I should say. I don't know if it's good. But let's look at it, right? Is Carson Hocevar going to win in his second full-time season? Now Spire has definitely upgraded. They continue to get better. You look at their lineup and it's going to continue to be solid, but can he win on a week-to-week basis? No. Are we going to be betting him for a top 10 a lot? Probably, because he paid off for us multiple times last season. So really there's 6 races, right? Does he win one of the 6 super speedways? And that's sort of the gamble you're taking here. I think anytime a minus 200 bet comes up, it's very rare that you want to take one of those. So I'm not personally going to bet the under of this, but if I was going to bet one, it would be the underside of things, because you're just so limited that he has to win one of those 6 super speedway races. While I think that he's very capable of doing so, and he's got a shot too. Of course, we know pretty much everybody in the field does. It's going to be a tall task for him to win. I mean, you look back at guys like Ty Gibbs, who are, what is Ty? Is Ty 3.5 seasons in now? I mean, and he still doesn't have a win, right? And he's a much more talented driver in a much better car. Wins don't just fall out of apple trees, Rod, or any other kind of tree, really, if we're going to be honest. So I think that, again, just probably one you don't play. If you're a big Carson Hocevar fan, you think he can win a race. Maybe it's a fuel mileage. Maybe we see some crazy shit, right? 17 overtimes later, maybe he can score one. And he did finish second at, was it Watkins Glen or something like that, where he had a really good finish? Third, yeah. Zane was second, but he was third. But yeah, I think you don't touch this one. And if you do, it is the underside for me.
Yeah, so you're right. I mean, the third place finish was his best finish, obviously, on the season. And for Carson Hocevar, you're talking about super speedway wins. I get it, how random they are, but you also have to be an adequate driver on those tracks sometimes to get it done. And he finished 40th at Daytona, 19th in Atlanta, 17th at Talladega, and then turned around again later on in the season with an 11th place finish at Daytona. So he got a little bit better in that one, 16th in Atlanta. So, and then 14th at Talladega.
Yeah, and see, like, this, it's not even like a Zane Smith that has a bunch of super speedway wins in the truck series. Like, I can't think of a super speedway win. Maybe he's got one, but I don't know that he has any super speedway wins in the truck series. So not a guy, it's not Austin Hills moving up to the Cup Series and you're like, well, look how good he was in the Xfinity Series. Maybe he could do it. And we know the Cup Series is much different, right? We've seen guys like Justin Haley dominated in the lower series, and then doesn't get it done in lesser equipment coming up. But yeah, I just think that it's going to be too hard for him. Not that he can't win one, because he can, but you don't bet the yes, essentially.
I would take a over 7.5 top 10 finishes for him if they actually gave us that type of option, because he got 6 last year.
So we know they're listening, Rod. So yeah, you want to give a season-long top 10 finish? Oh my God!
Ooh, that would be so juicy.
That would be, and like the doors that would open, Rod. The window nets, if you want, that would open.
That's a good Ryan Preece bet right there. How many top 10 would Ryan Preece have? That's something.
I would have so much money invested in Alex Bowman, it wouldn't even be funny.
That's true. You would, yeah. Your poor kids would not go to college at all.
Should be going to college after Alex Bowman cashed that for me.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I was going to say, well,
you're not eating this year, but your college will be paid for in a couple of years, kid. Don't you worry about it.
I'm sorry that the lettuce is the only thing on the table for a while, but it'll be worth it in the end. So, all right, to answer the question, no, Carson Hocevar will not win a race. However, it's fun to speculate. And if you do love the 77, go ahead, sprinkle something on it. That way you have something to cheer for throughout the course of the season. And when we come back, I mean, this isn't Daniel Suarez. This isn't me standing up on a soapbox screaming Daniel Suarez. This is Carson Hocevar. But all right, AJ Allmendinger, full-time driver once again in the Cup Series. He's set at a half a win. The over on this one, plus 105 on both MyBookie and Caesars. The under at minus 139 for MyBookie and minus 130 at Caesars. Are you freaking kidding me? This over is smashed. I don't even look at one road course win he's going to get this year.
What road?
That's all it takes.
Which road course is he going to win, Rob?
Well, it doesn't matter which one he's going. It's Charlotte. He'll win the Roval.
Yeah, he was going to win the Roval last year.
Well, guess what?
Did he win the Roval?
This year.
Well, he did. No, you can. This is an easy under for me. I love AJ Allmendinger. Rod, there is a pretty good chance I will bet on AJ Allmendinger to win the Daytona 500, and he could cash this over in the first race of the season, and I will be very happy cashing that ticket. But I am still betting the under on this for AJ Allmendinger. I love AJ Allmendinger. I think that he's a great driver. I think he's a very good road course guy, and he is great at super speedways. He could easily win one of these super speedway races. He is a guy that I always target on super speedways because he's very good at them. But let's look back over the past couple of seasons. It seems like the field is caught up. AJ's not quite the dominant ringer that he once was. Oh, by the way, SVG is now going to be in a Trackhouse car in these Cup races on road courses, a guy that we'll probably talk about tomorrow. But there TK shows up. I knew he was out there, right? SVG. But you've got to keep that in mind in addition to how good Larson is, how good Elliott is, how good Reddick is, how good Byron is, how good Bell is, how good Gibbs is. It's not easy to win a road course anymore. And he had that dominant run at the Roval, and that's why I saved him up in my one and done pool. Everything was, the Roval is it. And he didn't even have a chance. I mean, it was never even close, really. So I just find it hard. How and where is he going to win one this coming season? I don't see it. And he could be in competition to win a road course, I think, at any point, I guess. Maybe I shouldn't say I don't see it, but I just don't feel like at only plus 105, I don't feel like that's a big enough number for a guy that's probably not going to win a race.
If I could bet him to place 6th at a road course, then I would do that. He finished 6th at Coda. He finished 6th at Sonoma. He finished 6th on the Roval this last.
How many win credits do you get for all those 6th place finishes, Rod?
A half of a win, which is why you push on this.
This isn't sacks in the NFL. There ain't no half wins, Rod.
Look, all I'm saying is that
could we had the closest finish in NASCAR history this past season, Rod. Could we get a finish so close that they rule it a tie and it is awarded as half a win?
To me, this is just a no. The answer is no to your question. To me, this is more of just now that he's full time again, right? He's not splitting his attention. He can focus on this. This is just what he's got to do.
But can I remind you what team he races for?
Do you remember when you?
They're so committed to winning that Ty Dillon is his teammate, Rod.
But did
you hear what I said? Ty Dillon is his teammate because they're #chasing trophies.
I'd like for you to rewind the tape to when I went this hard after Daniel Suarez, and guess what? Daniel Suarez won. He won in Atlanta I
don't think that. Well, I don't know. Because I was gonna say I don't think it should count if they win at a super speedway because it is unpredictable. But I'll take the Tyler Reddick win at Talladega towards the win total, right? So I guess you could play both sides of that. But it's like Carson Hocevar. If he does win one of those super speedways, of course we knew it was possible, but it's still unlikely. It's much more likely that AJ Allmendinger wins a super speedway than Carson Hocevar, and he could win a road course because he is very, very capable and he's done it plenty of times before. But I just think the competition continues to get stiffer. The car is just not, if you drop him in a Trackhouse car, maybe he does win, but he's not in a Trackhouse car, and it's really caught up with him. I don't think that he's going to get it done. So I will bet the under on this.
Let's see, December 5th, 2024 at 2:53 p.m. I got this marked. I got this queued up for the end of the year when AJ, actually not even the end of the year, when AJ wins
when he wins the day. Well, yeah, when he wins the Daytona 500, you can play it, and I'm going to be happy anyways because I'm going to have the ticket on him, and it's going to not see. That's the great thing is if you have the under in a guy, but you hit him on a big number when they win the race, then it doesn't matter. That pays for that ticket. Who cares, right? So yeah, you just got to hedge your bets appropriately.
Indeed. All right, let's go over a couple more. We'll have to do a part 2. We did it again, Cody. We have to go to a part 2.
We knew this was going to be a part 2, Rod.
Actually, we should.
We just you're lucky we didn't put this into 3 parts because
that's true.
That's part of the reason I put all these out yesterday. I was like, oh boy.
All right, let's go over Ryan Blaney. He is set at 2.5 on both MyBookie and Caesars. The over on this one, -167 on my bookie, 180 on Caesars. The under, +120, +150. My bookie's got it at 120. Caesars has it 150. Why even do this? Why not just put it at 3.5 and then,
That's sort of my question, because you're almost making it hard to bet the over. I mean, -167 is it's a tough number to lay, but even at +150, you don't want the under on this. I mean, it's Ryan Blaney. He's gonna win 3 races. Ryan Blaney is really has elevated himself the last couple of seasons. He's not far from being a back-to-back champion, and Penske just continues to prove how good they are. He continues to prove how good he is. Ryan Blaney's gonna win 3 races now. So I guess that's where you sort of have your own internal debate. I'm pretty confident he's gonna win 3 races. So do you just lay -167 because you only pay the juice if you lose, Rod? And well, you're not going to lose, so it doesn't really matter. At the same time, it doesn't feel wonderful laying -167 on a season-long bet. So that's sort of the debate you have to have with yourself. But this is easily an over for me as well, with Ryan Blaney getting over 2.5 wins.
Ryan Blaney has won exactly 3 races in 3 out of the last 4 seasons. This is just a number that statistically hits more than it doesn't.
Talk about a guy that can win anywhere. I mean, road courses are tougher for him now, but he's won road course before. Super speedways, he's great. Short tracks, he's really great. Intermediates, he's good enough. Like he can get it done. So yeah, and TK pointing out too, Blaney was very good. Ford had a really slow start. They should start next season stronger, you'd hope. And really that will be interesting to see, because they should start next year stronger, you would think, and you would hope, as TK said. But even slow out of the gate, I mean, really until that Kansas spring race, we didn't see anything out of Ford. And I don't think they won until, boy, I don't remember when their first win was, but it was a while in the Cup Series. But he still got to the 3-win total. So I don't think that's going to be an issue again. And he's always in play on the super speedways and at every other track type. So yeah, it's an easy over for me. The question is just, do you lay -167? If I'm betting on this, I am absolutely betting the overside, and I'm not even considering. It's either you bet the over at -167 or you don't bet it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's up to your own comfortability. Like if you want to do it, again, we think, and he didn't even get his first win until Iowa, till the summertime. Like he didn't even win until the summer. And you got to remember too that he was I can't make the fraction that it is away in Atlanta.
Winning at Atlanta, yeah, like he had his own, could have won more races and didn't as well. So, yeah.
Yep. I think if you set this at 3.5, it'd make it a little more of a conversation, but 2.5 for sure. Definitely over on that one. All right. Last but not least for this episode, we'll talk about William Byron. 3.5 is what William Byron is set at. My bookie has this over at -120, as does Caesars. Both of them have the under at -110 for one William Byron, who we know had a ton of wins last season and was able to
all before April.
All before April. He had 3 wins before April, and then that was it. 6 wins the season before, 2 wins before that. So the question is, can he get that elusive 4th win that he was missing out on last season?
Yeah, so like you look at the last 2 seasons, right, and 6 wins 2 years ago, and you're like, holy shit, William Byron bursts onto the scene. Hello. Then he starts off last season with 3 wins, and you're like, oh my God, hold on. And then they just fell off and died. But the thing with William Byron is they're a very first half team. And we see this in football. We see this in basketball. Like it seems to happen in a lot of sports, but where teams are really good the first half, but just can't close in the second half. They start strong, can't finish. And that's this 24 team. So they've got to figure something out. For me, Rod, I'm taking the under on William Byron here. Nothing against Byron. I think that he's talented. I think that he's good. He's obviously in a great car and a great team. We're going to have to pull wins from somewhere to have all those other guys get their wins, right? And I think this is somewhere to pull it from. Could Byron win 3 races? Absolutely. I don't see that being too much of a problem. That 4th win is kind of the big hurdle. Can he do it? Yes, obviously. He won 6 2 years ago. Is he going to do it? That's where you have a little bit of pause. Now, he, again, is a guy that can win anywhere. Short tracks, intermediates, super speedways, road courses. He can do all of it. So, if you want the over case, I'm not saying don't bet the over on this. I think this one is a close one that you could go either way. I'm just a little less bullish on Byron kind of going forward. That could be bad taste in the mouth after the end of the season, right? And as bad as the second half was, he still made the Final Four, Rod, which is, again, is one of those things where it's like, oh, they were so bad and they still made it to the championship four. But I'm just not sold on Byron getting back to 6 wins or even 4 wins this coming season. So I'll take the under on this.
So interestingly enough, as you pull up the win totals from last season, only 2 drivers had more than 3 wins on the year, and that was Logano and that was Larson, right? Logano had 4, Larson had 6, and we'll obviously talk about Logano tomorrow, but Blaney with 3, Byron with 3, Reddick with 3, Bell with 3, Hamlin with 3, and then a smattering of other one race winners. But that just goes to show you how difficult it is to win a 4th race on the season when only 2 drivers did it last year. So
that's why we have sort of what I would consider the elite 3 and Larson, Reddick, and Bell going over. And there's a pretty good chance that nobody else is going to go over that total, because I think 3 wins seems like all the championship 4 all had 3 wins going into that race. Right? And Logano ends up with a 4th, obviously, by winning. But it just, 3 wins. And again, that's where the parity sort of kicks in. The elite are still going to be the elite. Everybody else is going to sort of cancel themselves out. I think a William Byron type will cancel out a Ryan Blaney type from getting to that 4-win threshold, right? So I think that's sort of where you differentiate those.
Well, and then I guess to even put it in more context, last year, 2023, same thing. Only 2 drivers crossed the 3-win threshold. It was Kyle Larson and it was William Byron.
Are you trying to talk me out of my Christopher Bell over, Rod?
I feel like I might be at this point because and okay, fine. You want to go back to 2022? No. Same thing. 2 drivers, only 2 drivers went over 3 wins. That was Joey Logano and Chase Elliott. So I'm starting to notice a pretty big pattern here in which that's not a lot of people that go.
Which that really strengthens the case for the Byron under. And if you go back, it's not always the same 2 guys. So I guess there's that to consider. But
I'll tell you, one of them's the same almost every single year.
Larson?
Yeah.
Oh, surprise, right? That's why he's just the auto. So just going back to the top, I'm not reconsidering the Bell one, actually. The Reddick one is the one I would reconsider with that factoid, right? That only 2 get it. So essentially, if I had to pick just 2 guys to go over that total, Larson, I'm clearly the most confident on. Bell maybe is the next most confident, even though it took me a minute to get there. I'm not changing my pick on Reddick. I'm still betting the over, mostly for fan reasons. I just love the dude, but also think he's very talented and capable. So I'm going to stick with it. But those are likely my only 3 guys I have going over the 3.5 threshold.
Yeah. So I'm like you said, I think I'm still going over. I think this is the year that maybe 3 get over because Reddick does have a really good shot at it. But I was still a little on the fence about it. So maybe I will just kind of lay out. But yeah, Larson, Bell for sure. Obviously Hocevar, I'm not betting the win. AJ, I am giving him that random win. Blaney, I will give him 3 wins. And then Byron, I'm only going to give him 3 wins. So I'm taking the under on this one for sure as well. Well, that's part 1, Cody. We still have plenty of drivers to go through for you tomorrow as we break down the rest of this list. God bless off-season content, huh?
You got to love it. Shout out to my bookie and Caesars as well for having these out for us. And best of luck on your season-long win total bets, part 1. We'll be back with more picks tomorrow, Rod.
We sure will. So, Cody, in the meantime, let's send everybody away to enjoy their Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I don't know, whenever you listen to this.
Christmas. This is sort of an evergreen off-season that's right? So
yeah, that's what they're all for.
Exactly.
All right, let everyone find you, bud.
Follow me over on the X, Rod, at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there. There is plenty of it. Follow the show as well at NASCAR Gambling. If you haven't, look, you're an hour into an off-season podcast with us. Subscribe over on podcast, subscribe over on the YouTube, like our Facebook page, follow us on the X. Trust me, all those things go a long way to showing the bosses what you think about the show and just helping us going forward. So we really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez and on Blue Sky at RJ Villagomez. There's a link in the bio to everything I got going on, whether it's here, Sportsbook Review. I got my first touchdown props going up on Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So go check those out as well. And then be sure to check out the Backroad, Seth and Elliott doing their own off-season content there while I sort of stew and wait and jump back on later on in the season. So love you all. We will see you tomorrow with the part 2 of this win totals. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.
The darkness there is light and below the come